Why would you give up a Glock for a Hellcat?
Capacity, same size gun, twice the capacity, more than twice.
It's a FUD gun.
It's not a FUD gun.
Welcome to 2A Cops supporting gun rights. Our hosts, Keith and Matt, have over 50 years combined experience as police officers serving in California. In this podcast, we'll talk about all things related to the Second Amendment from a cop's perspective and dispel the myth that cops are for over-the-top gun control. Welcome to 2A Cops supporting gun rights. I'm Keith.
And I'm Matt.
And we are going to talk about arm braces and the ATF's, I don't want to say ruling, but their opinion in the Federal Register, where they're looking for feedback, and I'm sure you're going to give it by the time we get done talking, about basically what constitutes a short barrel rifle. So, Matt, why don't you fill us in on what's going on?
So I first heard about this yesterday. Buddy of mine, Tim, over at Military Arms Channel, I used to write for him back when he had his own blog. He live streamed something last night on Facebook talking about this. He had gotten wind of the letter and apparently had seen a copy of it before it was actually made public. They put, this is a draft version of it, I guess, on they put it out on their website now. You can download it in a PDF. It's 15 pages. I printed it out so I could read it all. And it's titled, it's docket number 2020 R as in Robert -10. It's a Bureau Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, and it's titled Objective Factors for Classifying Weapons with, in quotes, Stabilizing Braces. It's all talking about they've been kind of wishy-washy on the braces. There's been rumors floating around that everybody's going to have to register everything that's got a brace on it as a short barrel rifle. There was all kinds of stuff floating around. So this is probably what started all those rumors, I'm guessing, is when this thing was being put together. So there's one paragraph in this that I want to read, and it's talking about why they're doing this, I guess. So it says, ATF's long-standing and publicly known position is that a firearm does not evade classification under the NFA, National Firearms Act, merely because the firearm is configured with a device marketed as a stabilizing brace or arm brace. When an accessory and a weapon's objective design features taken together are not consistent with the use of the accessory as an arm brace, that is, not to stabilize a handgun when being operated with one hand, such weapon configured with the accessory may fall within the scope of the NFA, particularly where the accessory functions as a shoulder stock for a weapon. Accordingly, ATF must evaluate whether a particular firearm configured with a stabilizing brace bears the objective features of a firearm designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder and thus subject to the NFA on a case-by-case basis.
And that's the rubbing point right there. So they're saying each case is different.
Every single firearm is different.
And so this is basically what the ATF is saying. This is how we're going to determine if you have an SBR or a shoulder brace, or not a shoulder brace, but an arm brace weapon, right? And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and what they're going to take into effect is a couple of different things, which we can go over, right?
Right. One of the things that they harp on repeatedly is the whole one-handed thing. And in digging through this, I figured out where they were bringing that up. And it's because when the very first brace was submitted to them, part of the justification for the brace was so that veterans returning from service who had disabilities would still be able to use an AR pistol, and it was designed to allow them to shoot one-handed. That was some of the information that was turned in with the very first brace that the ATF approved. So that's why they keep harping on the one-handed thing.
And then SB Tactical and other companies start coming out with other braces that, whatever, they were arm braces, but the ATF had not reviewed those.
Correct. At least that's my understanding.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. And ATF actually told SB Tactical or somebody to go ahead and chill out and stop saying it's approved by the ATF because only this first one was. And the arm brace market's kind of exploded. And now everybody's putting them on their rifle or their pistols. And, in fact, our most popular video on YouTube right now is the review of the SB Tactical brace for a TAC 13 shotgun. And, there's just a huge market for all of this. The problem is everybody kept sending in letters. Is this a rifle? Is this not a rifle? And then they kept having different opinions, and the ATF kept wavering.
Well, and you remember when you couldn't shoulder it for a while there? They were saying you can't shoulder it, but then the logic for that is totally flawed because if I take my Glock and put it up against my shoulder and fire it, is that suddenly a short-barreled rifle now?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And so it seems like what the ATF is trying to do is they're trying to say, well, here's a bunch of stuff that we're going to use to determine if you have a short barrel rifle or a pistol. And it's complete bullshit because after getting done reading this, and we're going to go over it with you, it leaves me confused because it conflicts with a bunch of stuff that's already out there. So here, one of the first things they're going to look at is the caliber of the weapon. They say a large caliber firearm that is impractical to fire with one hand because of recoil or other factors, even with an arm brace, is likely to be considered a rifle or a shotgun.
Right. And because there's no large caliber handguns that you fire with two hands.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've all seen pictures or videos of a guy shooting a Beretta 50 cal and M82 with, one-handed and just,
Well, the one that immediately comes to mind for me, besides something like the Smith & Wesson 500 or a 454 Casole or something like that, the one that comes to mind for me is the Thompson Center pistols that they made in 30-06, 308 Winchester. I mean, I sat down and actually listed out all the calibers I could find barrels for that thing, and it is nothing but rifle calibers except for 44 mag. That was the only handgun caliber that was in there.
In the video that we did on the SB brace for the TAC 13,
you fired that one-handed.
I did that entire thing. I showed how you can fire it one-handed, and I clearly in the video you can see because we connected a GoPro to the shotgun, or excuse me, to the firearm, and because it's not a pistol and it's not a rifle.
It's not a rifle. It's a firearm.
It's the garbage category. We don't know where to put it, and I was able to fire it one-handed using the brace, no problem. And I was shooting double-aught buck out of it in 12 gauge. And
not that double-aught buck doesn't kick at all, right?
Yeah, right.
Throw a 1 1/4 ounce slug in it. Let's see how you do.
I'll do it too, just to prove a point.
Exactly. Man. Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, I was just futzing around on YouTube yesterday, just going through stuff, and there was a link for. It was, I'd never even heard of it. It was a YouTube channel. It was like Farmer and something or other. But his wife, her Christmas present was a 500 Smith & Wesson, and she's shooting it one-handed.
That's awesome.
But you can't just hand a Smith & Wesson 500 to everybody and expect them to be able to shoot it one-handed. Most shooters aren't going to be able to shoot it one-handed.
And how subjective is this?
Right. No. They said it's objective, though. It says right at the top, objective factors.
But it's not objective.
But it is. They said it's subjective, though.
I mean,
just saying it's objective doesn't actually make it objective. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes. Right. They're just, it's this whole, I'm going to make up my own rules and do whatever I want. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you're going to tell me that shooting a 308 Winchester, out of a handgun is impossible and it makes it a rifle. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Right. Just because you may not want to do it.
Yeah. I'll never forget when I went through basic training and, the firearms instructor, I was up there for basic rifle marksmanship, and the guy goes up there with an M16A1, tell you how old I am. And, he's doing mag dumps with the, one-handed. He's doing a 30-round mag dump full auto, with his right hand and his left hand. Then he does it like he's shooting a pistol where he's got like a two-handed isosceles. Then he does a mag dump doing it like that. Then he holds it against his genitals and then lights off another 30 rounds because it's the Army and we do weird shit like that. The point was to show.
Is that vibrator at that point?
Probably was for him. He looked weird. It is the Army, man. But it's just like, come on, man. I always think back to that, and I've kind of used portions of that to show people like, hey, you shouldn't be afraid of recoil. And
I've done the same thing when I'm taking people out to shoot an AR for the very first time. I'm like, look, it's really loud, but it doesn't kick. And I'll do what a buddy of mine told me they did in his basic, which was they put the butt of the gun on his chin and fired it from there.
Yes.
And I've done that. And it's not like it's not like you got punched in the face, but it's, you can feel it, but it's an AR-15. They don't kick that bad. They're just loud. And I've jokingly fired mine as a pistol, two-handed pistol grip.
I show people, like, I have a PWS Mark 218. That's a 308, 18-inch barrel AR platform. It's piston driven. And I'll hold it with one hand, and I will go ahead and launch a boatload of rounds downrange to show it's an easy gun to handle.
Right.
And that is with an 18-inch barrel. And so you're telling me caliber has something to do with it? I mean, like, come on, man. That's just stupid.
Yep, agreed.
And then they go into weight and length. A firearm that is so heavy that it's impractical to fire or aim with one hand, or so long that it is difficult to balance the firearm to fire with one hand, is likely to be considered a rifle or a shotgun. Come on, man.
Yeah, so barrel length now. So if I've got my Smith & Wesson 29 with a 12-inch barrel or something on it, is that going to fall into that category now?
Exactly. I mean, again, it's another subjective. They can say it's subjective all they want, but it's not.
Right.
Okay. And here's the thing that bothers me. Like, both you and I, between us, we have like 50 or 55 years of law enforcement experience. And if we brought these opinions in to any case that we did, replace it with guns with like drugs or stolen property or whatever, they'd laugh us out of the courtroom. And just to make it's just stupid. I don't know. Whoever came up with this, if you're listening, you're dumb.
This list that we're looking at here on the outline is actually, I just pulled the ones that I was really concerned with, but there was other ones there. Actually, I take it back. It's in my list. Never mind. I'll shut up for a minute. Continue on.
All right. So look, man, weight and length, okay, where I think that's stupid. But here we go into having a secondary grip. Well, look, man, we've all known that if you put a forward grip on a pistol braced weapon, that they were going to say it was an AOW.
Right. Exactly.
Pay your $5, register it with the NFA, because I think at AOW is only $5, not $200. I'm not positive, but I think that's what it is. And you register it, but here they got to put it in here again, but
the thing is, and there's some very clearly, they are only pistols and have only ever been pistols that come with a forward grip on them.
Let's hear it.
The Beretta 93R is one that comes to mind. And for those who don't know what a 93R is, it's basically a full auto 92. A Beretta 92, what was the M9A1, I think is the military designation for that one. It's a Beretta 92 pistol, and it was just, they made a select fire version of it, and it came with a little fold down forward pistol grip. It wasn't really a pistol grip. It was kind of a weird angled forward grip for your left hand, for your offhand. And that was in the 70s. If you think back to 80s action shows like the A-Team and stuff like that, there was all kinds of funky 80s pistols that didn't come with stocks on them that had a forward grip on them. A current one that comes to mind is the CZ Checkmate, which is a CZ75, and it's on the left side of the firearm from the factory. It has what some people call a gas pedal. It's like a thumb rest for your offhand to help support the weapon in firing. It's a competition gun. It's to help mitigate recoil. And then again, going back to the Thompson Center Encore pistols, those have got an actual forend on them. And then you stop and think about some of the bigger, revolvers that guys go hunting with. They may not have a forward pistol grip, but that actually, I'll bring that one up on the next topic because it actually was more applicable even there.
But you're right though. These Thompson Center pistols, those have been around. I remember
those are in the 60s.
I remember as a kid growing up, I wanted one because I wanted to go hunting with one because I thought that'd be the most badass thing to do. Go hunt pig with some
like
Thompson
a 30-06 pistol,
right? I mean, like that was just awesome. And I don't get it, man. Whatever. Sights and scopes. Incorporation of sights or scopes that possess eye relief incompatible with one-handed firing may indicate that the weapon is not a pistol because they're designed to be used from the shoulder fire position and are incompatible for the single-handed shooting that arm braces are designed and intended. By me saying that doesn't mean I agree with it.
Yeah, just reading that. And it all comes back to the one-handed firing, single-handed shooting thing. Yeah. And I kind of get what they're getting at, but then again, who's to say how somebody has to shoot a gun and hold a gun?
Yes.
And just because they say it's objective does not make it actually objective. You think about some of, like, I was just about to say a minute ago, is you look at some of the bigger revolvers that guys use for hunting, and they come with big old magnified optics on them, actual like legit hunting scopes. Mm-hmm. And one of the other ones, which I didn't include on this list, was it also said, I think I abbreviated it. It was in one of these other ones. It was, there it is down below. I'm sorry. I'll shut up again. I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's okay. You can get ahead of yourself, man. Keep going.
Well, they're talking about whether or not it has a bipod or a monopod on it. Well, guys who go pistol hunting will often have like a little walking stick that they will use to brace when they're shooting the gun. It's not an uncommon thing in pistol hunting. I'm not a pistol hunter. I've watched videos of guys doing it and seen pictures and magazine articles and stuff, and it's not an uncommon thing for a guy hunting with a pistol to use some sort of a not a brace, but a
like sticks.
Something exactly. Cross sticks, a tree branch, whatever, to support the firearm, to stabilize it for shooting.
And here, all this is under another section called Peripheral Accessories. And the ATF says installation of peripheral accessories commonly found on rifles or shotguns that may indicate that the firearm is not designed and intended to be held and fired with one hand. It includes, but not limited to, the installation of bipods, monopods, that improve accuracy of heavy weapons designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder. Drum magazines.
Right, because Glock hasn't made drum magazines for their guns for a long time.
There's that. Or
the 32 round sticks.
There's a couple people making those drum mags for a Glock. I want one. That thing looks awesome.
The double drum. It's like a 100 round double drum magazine for the Glock.
Yes, and you can get a G18 that's
you got to get the Glock 18 and run that thing.
Yeah.
Actually, for that matter, I swear that was in a James Bond movie. I don't remember which one, but there was one of the bad guys I think he had two of them. They were Glock 18s, and both of them were equipped with the double drum.
Yeah, I shot one at a school I went to. They brought out a Glock 18, and
we had one.
The double drum mag. I threw that thing in there, and I did that all one handed. At the 8-yard line. And just lit it up, and it was a massive amount of fun. But again, so does my Glock 18, or let's say I put it on my Glock.
And you're 17, yeah.
And now I put.
Granted, your trigger finger's going to get tired.
Yeah. Does that mean that now my Glock is now a rifle? I mean, come on, man.
Right. And this whole thing with all the one-handed firing stuff, it bothers me because. And like I said, I figured out where they were getting all that from. But I mean, every handgun, they claim it's, handguns are one-handed firing. But have you ever gone to any kind of combat shooting handgun class where they tell you to only fire it one-handed?
Exactly. You and I teach.
The only time you fire one-handed is when your other arm is preoccupied, or out of service.
Yeah. You and I both teach people how to shoot, how to become better shooters. And none of it is centered around one-handed shooting.
Right. Exactly.
It's all shooting with two hands to absorb the recoil. And so what now if I don't know. I think that they made this a bigger mess.
I agree. I think this thing's, and then what if you're at the range and you're shooting your pistol for accuracy and you use a bench rest?
And I got to tell you, I knew this was coming because God bless the American ingenuity people were finding ways to get around the NFA, and I loved it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's great. And they were coming out with new products. Our manufacturing processes are awesome. And people were coming out with these new designs, and they were flying in the face of the NFA. And you know that the ATF doesn't like that. And they're just looking for a way to get around it. But they're looking for a way to get around it by making up their own rules and making up their own interpretations to enforce existing rules. And it's like, look, that's not how you do it. How you do it, and again, I am not advocating for more laws, but how you do it is by going to lawmakers and having your lawmakers change something, right?
Exactly.
I don't want them to do that, but that's the way it should be done if you don't like it.
Right. If you don't like something, you don't get to just make your own rules. It has to actually be based on a law, and that's where these guys are. They're being pushed by whoever's telling them to revise these rules and stuff. But I speaking of the NFA, and you want to throw in the Hughes Amendment, go right ahead. I don't understand the logic behind any of those. And I even have a harder time understanding how they got it pushed through back in 1934.
I know, right?
The only thing I can think of is just the fact that the mafia, they were using Thompsons and stuff like that, was the only thing I can see where they were able to like justify pushing the NFA through. But you know what? The mafia is going to not stop. They're not going to stop using machine guns just because they passed a law. And it's just like bad guys don't stop using firearms just because they're legally prohibited from having them.
And that's my belief is what happened. It was there was a lot of turf wars where people were buying Thompson machine guns through mail order. I think it was like $50 or something.
Yeah, I know. Either that or you walk into the hardware store and walk out with one. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you were lighting up fucking Bugsy down the road or something, whatever. He stole your shipment or whatever.
Right.
And so they wanted to control it. But here's the other thing. Back then there wasn't the internet where everybody can get organized and say, I've had
exactly. Lawmakers could pretty much do whatever they wanted.
Yes, because, by then it goes on Telegraph, it goes into the newspaper. Some people don't get the newspaper, the literacy rates. I mean, we can go into so many things about what, how, it got past everybody.
Yeah, and the Hughes Amendment got snuck in.
And what's the Hughes Amendment?
That was in 86. That was the one that outlawed all the newer machine guns.
Okay. So here, people are wondering, like, what can I do? Well, there's a 2-week period. We're going to put this podcast up a little bit early so you can listen to it. And we'll put a link in the notes about how to look at this thing that's going in the Federal Register. And the bad thing about this is when you leave a comment, if you leave your comment, if you're swearing, they're not going to take it. It's got to be a certain font. It's got to be dictated a certain way.
And don't threaten people because the Secret Service may show up at your door.
Yeah, just keep it professional. And then, don't cause yourself problems. But you got to give up your home address, right? If you're smart like the rest of us, you have a PO box at the UPS store or whoever.
Are you calling me stupid?
You don't have that?
No.
Oh wow. Nope. Not that you're not stupid per se.
Not in those exact words.
Hey, with all due respect, Matt. If I put with all due respect in front of it, I can say whatever.
You can say whatever you want, Ricky Bobby.
So send off, why this is stupid, and give them your input. They will probably summarily reject it and do whatever they want anyway, because that seems to be what the government's doing these days. But I want people to put in a perspective about the ATF making their own rules. They're supposed to be a law enforcement agency. And Matt, what do we say about ATF and law enforcement?
You're going to throw me under the bus again, huh?
I am. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
Calling the ATF law enforcement is an insult to law enforcement.
Okay. So,
but that's me quoting Keith.
So, to my IOI and everybody else, I don't think that way. No. Look, it's like if your local law enforcement agency, your local PD, or your local sheriff's department started making up rules that you have to follow. This is basically the same thing. Am I wrong? Am I
correct?
Right?
That's exactly it. It would be, well, I interpret the law to mean this, and therefore I'm going to arrest you for it. Well, you don't get to do that.
Exactly. And look, man, there is specifically when Matt and I made arrests, we did it off the elements of the crime. We looked at the law. There's specific elements with that, and we had to meet those elements before we made an arrest. And it seems like ATF is not doing that. They're doing, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right. Like, for instance, burglary. Burglary is an easy one because I like the way it's laid out, very clear and simple. Entry of a building with intent to steal or commit a felony. Really simple. You can show intent by what they entered with, or the fact that it's not their home. Maybe residential burglary is real easy to prove, but I'm thinking commercial burglaries as well. But so if they never actually entered the building, I can't arrest them for burglary, which, this objective list that's not remotely objective is, it lays out, and then I forgot where it was. I thought I had it highlighted, but it was talking about, this is going to be on a case-by-case basis. They're going to have to examine each and every one. And so whether the gun was sold with, so you buy, in my case, I bought that Scorpion pistol, right?
Yep.
And I put a brace on it, and I changed the forend on it. So because I changed the forend on it, because I like the looks of the other one better, because I have that forend on it versus the other one, both of them have a hand stop at the end. Neither one of them, there's nothing different there other than appearance. Am I suddenly creating a short-barreled rifle because of that?
But just to be clear, that's the CZ Scorpion that you bought, but immediately sold to some other guy and don't own any longer, correct?
Oh, no, I still have it.
Oh, dude.
I'm not going to deny that one.
All right.
But, and I added the brace on mine, but we sell them with braces on them as well. They come both ways, and they're all pistols. The brace I installed on mine is the exact same one that comes on it from the factory. So if I put depending according to what I'm reading here, if I put a certain type of optic on that gun, it's now suddenly a short-barreled rifle. Yeah. That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah.
Magpul just came out with a drum mag for that thing. It hasn't really hit any stores yet, but they just came out with a 50-round drum mag for the Scorpion. If I put a 50-round drum mag in my Scorpion, is it suddenly a rifle?
Yes, according to them.
According to the ATF, it could be. That's the problem. It's not a yes.
And
it's a maybe.
In your show notes, you've got it written down very well here. The letter is totally vague. And this is quoting, "No single factor or combination of factors is necessarily dispositive." Is dispositive a word? Anyways, and FATD examines each weapon holistically on a case-by-case basis. I don't look at the ATF as looking at anything holistically. But continuing on from their wordage, because of changes in design or configuration of a weapon or attachment, as well as future changes in technology, this list is not exhaustive. So they can add to it. And other factors may become relevant to a weapon's classification. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Number one.
Again, we're putting in writing that this is objective, but we can change it all the fuck we want.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what it is. So go ahead and give us
this objective list that we can't give you any specifics on can change whenever the fuck we feel like it.
Yeah, that's bad, dude. That is so horrible, man.
Can you imagine a burglary law or assault with a deadly weapon law that just changed weekly?
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, remember when they passed the assault weapons law in California, and they did it by features.
Yeah,
and it was like, and you had to have like remember it was California Pistol Rifle Association or somebody put together like an outline of like, this is what an assault weapon is. And it was this flow chart that was so confusing. If it's got a forward grip, it's an assault weapon. But if it's, and you had to follow this around.
Yeah.
This is what it reminds me of. It's like somebody's going to have to make this like flow chart to help you determine. But here they've made it so completely vague that like your CZ Scorpion and you put a drum mag on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is considered a rifle anymore based on what they're saying, right?
Right. Well, and then you take something like, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of beyond words on this one. This one, the whole ATF polymer 80 thing pissed me off, but this has even gone even further. This is getting into the bizarro land kind of stuff because, and I keep harping on it, but semantics actually do come into play at some point. And when you call a list of stuff that may or may not change something objective, and then you later in there say any combination of all of this crap will be looked at and we'll determine it on a case-by-case basis. Well, that's not objective. That is, you're saying right there in your text that it's actually subjective.
Yes.
An objective list is, it has a barrel length of such and such. Boom, done. There's a specific barrel length. Stuff like that. This is not it's not a list of anything. It's like, well, I think this, therefore it is.
This whole thing's a tragedy. It
is. And this is, can you imagine the federal government running our healthcare system?
Oh. So, all right, so now people are wondering, what do I do? Well, we're not lawyers, but
don't comply.
The best thing you can do is just wait and see what happens, man, and just follow it out.
They are saying in this letter that there will be a grace period for those who want to register their braced pistols as a short-barreled rifle. They're going to waive the $200 tax stamp fees, and they'll allow you to do it so long as you have purchased the gun prior to the date of this letter. But
is this a new class in the NFA?
No, I think they're going to call them short-barreled rifles. It's going to be an SBR.
Okay, so here's the problem. What happens if you live in a state that allows a pistol brace,
but they don't allow SBRs? Yeah, like California.
Yeah, so what do you do then?
Right, you're screwed.
Shit out of luck.
Yeah,
because you can't register it because there are a couple of states where you can't have NFA items at all.
Well, in California, with any gun, there's going to be a way around this, and it's not. It's not going to make people happy, but when I was in California, I didn't register shit when they tried to make me register all of my, you can't see my air quotes here, my assault rifles. I made them all featureless because I wasn't going to register any of that stuff. So if you've got a braced AR, pull the brace off. Now you got a buffer tube there. It's not a brace. So, there's a way around doing the registry if that's your concern. And my honest to God, there is no way in hell I will register anything because I don't want the federal government knowing what I have. And
now there's a whole separate group. We're not telling you what to do or not to do. We're not advocating one thing or another. But there is a whole separate group that are like, oh, hell yeah, you're going to waive my $200 fee? Great, man. I'm going to register all my stuff as SBRs, and I'm going to put regular stocks on them, and I'm going to put forward grips on it and, do all this fancy shit. And I mean, more power to you if that's...
Yep, exactly. If you're good with that, go for it.
And I mean, the one thing I don't like is that now the government knows you have a gun. And this is coming from two cops telling you they don't like the government knowing. But what does that tell you?
Yeah. Well, gun registries, they're good for everyone, right? They solve crime. No, it just gives the government a list of who has guns so they can come knocking on your door looking for them.
And the most important thing here is for people that are listening, this is only going to get worse. This will not get better. You got, if Biden comes in on January 20th, you will expect to see more of this and more harsh enforcement and people actually going after the little guy, right.
This is the one where you start making law-abiding citizens into felons.
Yeah. And I don't think you'll see, Matt and I, you can go back and listen to prior podcasts, and we talk about our polls where we polled cops about what they think about the Second Amendment and assault weapons bans and all that. And we've shown that, the cops on the street don't care and aren't going to be out seizing your stuff. But ATF is on a roll, man. The shit that they've been pulling in the last month is been a little ridiculous, and you could expect more of this under Biden.
Yeah, and depending on the state you're in, I have a very good feeling that the California DOJ would have absolutely no problem going out and assisting the ATF with stuff. Like,
going back to Polymer 80, I bet you DOJ got the info from ATF to go after the 200 some odd people in California that bought those complete kits.
Yep, agreed.
And I would bet money that Bureau of Firearms is now DOJ. I got a lot of friends working for Cal DOJ. There's a lot of class act people that work there, and then there's the Bureau of Firearms.
Exactly. There's different bureaus.
For my friends that are listening, I've always got mad respect for DOJ, except for the people that are working at Bureau of Firearms. And some of my friends went over to Bureau of Firearms, and the shit that they're pulling over there is ridiculous. And I'll bet money though, if you're in California and you bought one of those Polymer 80 kits, get ready because somebody's coming to your door.
Yep. And just like we were back, one of the things you can do if you are going to comply with turning that stuff in, give them the friggin' frame, and that is it. Keep the barrel, keep the slide, keep everything else because those are all just parts.
I wouldn't even. Yeah. You're talking about with the Polymer 80?
With the Polymer 80, yeah. Because when they were talking about, you're going to have to do, I don't remember what it was with your ARs. I'm like, okay, well, fine. I'll give them a strip lower.
Yeah. And, here's the thing, too, with going back to the braces. One of the options for the braces was to either reconfigure it, make it into an NFA item, and register it.
Destroy the brace.
Destroy it.
Destroy the gun.
Or bring it into an ATF office.
And turn it in.
And my God, don't turn it in. If you want to give it up like that,
yeah, I'll take them.
Feel free to ship it to me. You can.
I'll pay the shipping.
Keith at 2acops.com. Keith is spelled Keith at 2acops.com. I'd be glad to help you out with that problem.
Matt at 2acops.com will outbid Keith.
Well, hey, if you're giving it away, then just give it to me. I'll pay for the shipping.
Yeah, I'll destroy it for you in a boating accident.
Oh, all right. Matt, do you have anything else for everybody out there?
Stay strong, stay safe, stay on your toes, talk to your legislators, comment on this thing on the ATF's website, be respectful, but be firm.
And share this podcast so that everybody can hear what's going on. And most importantly, keep going to 2acops.com, and we put news like this up continuously so you can get the latest information. We have a newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter. So when you go to 2acops.com, it'll pop up, and you can just fill in your information there. We don't spam. We don't share our list. We just give you the facts. And then most importantly, go to our social media. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, all at 2A Cops, and you can find us there.
And Parler and MeWe.
Oh, that's right, Parler. I forgot. We're on Parler at 2A Cops. MeWe, I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't, but I do because I hate Facebook. Fuck Facebook.
Fucking communists. All right.
They are.
So that's all we've got for this week. Do us a favor, subscribe to our podcast, rate us on iTunes, and share it to your friends to follow us. Give us suggestions of what you want covered. You can contact us at podcast@2acops.com and give us your suggestions, what you think about the show. We love hearing from you. But that's it for this week. We're signing off. Stay safe. Have a great week and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to and rate 2A Cops on your favorite podcast service. You can subscribe to our newsletter and get current 2A news at 2acops.com. If you have any questions you want answered on the podcast, email us at podcast@2acops.com.